First of all, before I get to the review, I want to begin this video with a moment of silence for our friend, R-Truth. Of all the fucked up ways to die, getting blown up by a Saturday Night Live character. That poor bastard. Okay, enough of that. Impact. Holy shit, what a weird Impact. I'm not quite sure how to go about this, actually, because the show in and of itself I thought was really good. But when you look at the long-term implications of it, it's like TNA shot themselves in the foot with a bazooka or something. I mean, look at this opening segment, alright? AJ comes out, cuts a pretty good promo by his standards about being the World Heavyweight Champion. Rob Van Dam comes out and challenges him, Jeff Hardy comes out and challenges him, and then Hogan comes out, sets up the whole angle for the night. Now, there were a lot of positives to come out of this segment. It put over AJ as the champion. It put over the title as something important that everybody wants. It established several new incredible challengers. It set up an important angle to build the show around, and a huge main event title match. Now, all that stuff might not seem like a big deal. It might seem really simplistic, but that's the whole point. Now, ordinarily, this stuff is just way too simple for the TNA writers to understand. Now, normally, if they were going to try to do something like this, they would end up going in like 50 different directions with it, probably gimmick the hell out of the main event, which would most likely get around 2 to 5 minutes at most, and then have it end in a DQ or a no contest or something like that. But here, they kept it simple. The qualifier and the main event got a lot of time, and they were really good matches. Now, were they stupid to give away Jeff Hardy versus Rob Van Dam and Rob Van Dam versus AJ for free on television with no build-up? Absolutely. I mean, this was just like when Bischoff gave away Bill Goldberg versus Hulk Hogan for the world title for free on Nitro back in the day. And TNA, this is why your pay-per-view buy rates suck. Now, imagine the first ever match between AJ Styles and Rob Van Dam for the World Heavyweight title at Bound for Glory with like 8 months of build-up behind it. People would pay to see that. Hell, I'd pay to see that. But no, TNA would rather give it away for free for some reason. Now, maybe it's more understandable if you look at it from TNA's perspective. Maybe the shock factor is what they wanted. And it was a pretty shocking title change, I'll give them that much. And also, I mean, they gotta do something. I mean, they're getting ass raped in the ratings. They gotta do something to get people talking about TNA. And Rob Van Dam winning the world title from out of nowhere, love it or hate it, that will get people talking. I guess that's what they think they need right now. But I keep thinking about that big pay-per-view down the road that they could have saved this match for, built up to it for months, done a great buy rate, and made themselves a lot of money. And they just threw that away for the word of mouth that they could get by saying TNA World Champion Rob Van Dam. And for one night, I guess it worked. The ratings were up, the demos were up. The question is, was that because of the show TNA put on, or was it because Raw totally stunk up the place that night with most of their roster stuck in the UK, which led to their ratings being down? I don't know. I expect next week's ratings will be a pretty good indicator on that one. I mean, if TNA can improve on this 1.0 next week, or at least sustain the 1.0, then maybe this will have paid off for them. As for Van Dam winning the title from AJ when he's only been in the company for like a month, I'm not happy about it, but give the guy his due. He did wrestle 4 matches in 24 hours, and I do expect them to have a rematch at Sacrifice. You know, all things considered, TNA has done much stupider things than this. Anyway, that whole mess aside, if you take this Impact just on its own merits, I do think this was a really good show. It was fast-paced, but not too fast-paced. Most of the segments got the right amount of time, not too much, not too little. We got a lot of wrestling for a change. The matches were actually timed correctly for once. They were important matches, so they got a lot of time devoted to them, and they were all good or better with the exception of the horrible Knockouts match. I liked the Lethal Lockdown rematch. Again, they gave it a lot of time. The segment that set it up was good in terms of announcing a match for later in the show and then following through with it, which, I mean, again, this is stuff that TNA just doesn't normally do well. I don't know why. But when Rob Terry came out, oh my God, when Rob Terry comes out to make the save for the babyfaces, and then he proceeds to, I kid you not, he proceeds to botch everything. Tried to press slam Desmond Wolfe, botch. Tried to kick Sting, botch. What do they see in this guy? I mean, of all the people to give the Goldberg push to, why Rob Terry? I mean, Bill Goldberg wasn't a particularly good worker, but at least he was competent most of the time. Rob Terry is just bad. I mean, the match itself was fine, but Rob Terry needs a lot of work. Good Lord. However, speaking of the match, I marked the hell out for Samoa Joe. That was awesome. The crowd popped huge for him. I'm very glad he's back as himself this time. He looked like he lost a little bit of weight. He's gone back to his old look. No face paint, no big effing Rambo knife, no gladiator shorts, no gimmicks of any kind. Just a pissed off Samoan who kicks your ass. That is the guy who should get the Goldberg push. You know, I'm glad that he didn't stick around to celebrate with the faces. He just took care of business and he left. That's the way they need to go with him. He's not a face, he's not a heel, he's just a guy who's out for himself and he'll destroy anyone who gets in his way. That's what got him over when he first debuted. And I don't know why TNA has always tried to overthink this stuff with Samoa Joe. I mean, sometimes you just need to sit back and let the wrestler be himself. I mean, maybe they'll figure that out this time. Now, some things that I did not like. No Pope this week. I know he's injured, but he still should have been there. Same thing with Kazarian. Even if you didn't have him booked in a match, he still should have been there so you could put him over winning the X Division title. And probably the worst part, well, let's face it, definitely the worst part. I don't think the announcers ever acknowledged this, but apparently Madison Rayne has given her knockout tag team title to Lacey Von Erich. That's right. Hamada, Sarita, Taylor Wilde, they're all sitting on the bench. And the woman fans refer to as Lacey Von Botch is walking around with a championship. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go throw up. See you later.